Okay, there is breaking news on the possible AEW surprise free agent signing that is going to be debuting tonight on TBS, or possibly a debut coming forward. So spoilers ahead, because this is very, very interesting. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. So obviously we've been talking a lot about this free agent signing. Who's it going to be? We don't have full confirmation. It must be said this is a report that's coming in the last couple of minutes or so, and it might not have anything to do with the aforementioned Forbidden Door free agent signing that Tony Khan has been speculating about, hyping up on social media. Everyone's talking about as we head into Dynamite in Atlantic City tonight. But a big debut is planned for AEW. That is confirmed by Fightful Select. So, of course, spoilers ahead. I've tried to keep this as vague as possible, so there isn't the actual person there. The name isn't below or anything like that, but we are going to talk about it. So I'll give you maybe 5 seconds just to get out of the video if you don't want to be spoiled. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, Fightful has learned, and Fightful is reporting in the last couple of minutes, that Keith Lee is planned for a run in AEW and is to come into the company imminently. Now, when they say imminently, they don't know if it's going to be tonight. They haven't mentioned if it's going to be tonight on Dynamite, on TBS. They haven't mentioned if it's going to be him in the ladder match qualifying match against Isaiah Cassidy. All they are reporting, again, Fightful has learned that Keith Lee is planned for a run in AEW and is to come into the company imminently. Now, the way they are framing this is that throughout the past weekend, talent has been speculating that Lee would be joining AEW now that his non-compete clause has expired with WWE. Prior to that, WWE talent that Fightful had spoken to said that they heard it wasn't a sure thing and they weren't sure if Keith Lee was indeed going to be going into AEW. But that has changed over the last 7 days or so, because it's become known that Lee was indeed headed to All Elite Wrestling. Those within WWE, whether they're friends of his or former acquaintances, or even those in WWE that would just know about Lee's contractual situation, are saying to Fightful that he is indeed headed to AEW. Now, from the AEW side of things as well, AEW talent themselves didn't actually know for sure if Keith Lee was going to be coming into AEW, but word began to spread as talent traveled to Atlantic City for Dynamite that Lee was indeed coming into AEW. Now, of course, there's been plenty of speculation in regards to who would pop up on the show tonight on Dynamite on TBS, as AEW founder Tony Khan has heavily hyped and promoted a free agent signing. Now, Fightful hasn't confirmed if Keith Lee is going to be Isaiah Cassidy's opponent or if there's some other role for Lee's debut. Just because he's going to be debuting on this show doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be Isaiah Cassidy's opponent in this match. There was speculation, and it wasn't as concrete as this Keith Lee news, but there was speculation earlier today that there could possibly be two surprises tonight on AEW Dynamite when it comes to free agent signings. Now, Keith Lee might be a big free agent signing, but he might not be the free agent Forbidden Door signing that Tony Khan is talking about. There was a rumor going around on Monday that possibly New Japan Pro Wrestling's Jay White could show up on Dynamite tonight. Now, that would make more sense when it comes to the Forbidden Door aspect of what Tony Khan is talking about. Jay White is contracted to New Japan Pro Wrestling. It also isn't out of the realm of possibility, and there is precedent that someone can be signed to both New Japan and AEW at the same time. We've seen people like Leo Rush be signed to both companies. We also know that AEW and New Japan do have a working relationship, and we could see a situation where Jay White is appearing for AEW. Now, of course, Jay White is currently appearing for Impact Wrestling and New Japan, so it'd be interesting to see how he would be able to manage all of those dates. We also know that AEW has precedent for doing 2 debuts in one night. Of course, that first show in the pandemic in March of 2020, Brody Lee was revealed as the Exalted One of the Dark Order. At the end of that show, we then saw Broken Matt Hardy make his AEW debut. We saw something similar at All Out last year. After the Christian Cage Kenny Omega AEW World Championship match, the lights went out. Everyone thought it was going to be Bryan Danielson, because Bryan Danielson had been widely speculated that he had signed with AEW, but it wasn't Bryan Danielson. initially it was Adam Cole. He was the surprise signing, and everyone went, wow, they've signed Adam Cole. Maybe Bryan Danielson isn't happening after all tonight at All Out. After Adam Cole and the Elite did their thing, then out came Bryan Danielson. It's the sort of 1-2 punch that Chris Jericho has claimed was his idea in the first place when it came to Matt Hardy and Brody Lee the first time round. So my point being that it's not impossible. It's not impossible, even with this Keith Lee news, that Keith Lee isn't the person in this qualifying match. We could see a situation whereby the opponent is someone through the Forbidden Door, like a Jay White, like some other people from New Japan as well. Maybe Will Ospreay, maybe Tama Tonga, who is also a free agent. We spoke about that as well the other day as well. It could be someone like that, and Keith Lee could maybe either come in after the match, he could come in later on in the evening, he could be involved in something else. But again, that hasn't been confirmed. What has been confirmed, once again, is that Keith Lee is planned for a run in AEW. That initial report that Dave Meltzer was talking about, was it last week, 10 days or so, that Keith Lee was going to be signing or already has signed with AEW, looks to be accurate. Now, I mentioned this at the time when it comes to Dave Meltzer, and I'm critical. I'm as critical when it comes to Dave Meltzer as anyone, especially when it comes to WWE. My sort of general rule of thumb nowadays when it comes to Dave Meltzer is that if Dave Meltzer is talking about WWE, take it with the biggest pinch of salt, because he just doesn't have the sources there that he once had. He doesn't have the connections there that he once had. Dave Meltzer talking about things in the WWE, it's 50-50 at best. Do we need to talk about WrestleMania Chamber? Do we need to talk about all of these other instances over the course of the last couple of years or so where he's got things wrong? But when he talks about AEW, his track record is very strong. Why is it very strong? Because he's very close friends and good friends with Tony Khan. So when he's reporting on AEW, chances are he's getting the information direct from the president of AEW himself. He has got a direct line to the president of AEW. So if he's reporting on something when it comes to AEW, all he has to do is pick up the phone and he can check with Tony Khan himself. It gets fact checked and he puts it out there. So when Dave Meltzer said that Keith Lee was coming into AEW, I said at the time that I felt that was a very strong possibility, and Fightful have confirmed that. When it comes to Fightful and their AEW surprises as well, they were the first to break the news, of course, when it came to CM Punk. They were also the first to break the news when it came to Malachi Black coming into AEW as well. They were the first to break the story that Malachi Black had a 30-day non-compete clause as opposed to the traditional 90-day non-compete clause as well. I remember just hours before AEW Road Rager, that first show back on the road, that they were the ones that broke the story. Malachi Black, there's a strong rumor he's going to be on the show tonight. It's the same kind of wording that they're using now when it comes to Keith Lee, but they're saying Keith Lee's planned for a run in AEW and he's going to be coming into the company imminently. They haven't mentioned if his debut is going to be tonight. They haven't mentioned if he's going to be in this qualifying match. They haven't mentioned anything like that. All they're saying is that, yep, there's a run for Keith Lee and he's going to be coming into the company imminently. So it looks like Keith Lee, the Limitless One, is going to be making his AEW debut soon. Whilst Fightful aren't saying that he's going to be on the show tonight, I think the fact that they're getting this story out there, they're getting it out there now, means that they are relatively confident. And if you look at Sean Ross Sapp's history when it comes to breaking this kind of news, he tends to break things and say, oh, I'm not too sure, even if he's 90% sure. He just doesn't like to be completely go, yeah, 100% it's happening and then be proved wrong. For him to put something out there means it's probably happening. So 95% chances are Keith Lee is debuting tonight on Dynamite for AEW. Doesn't mean he's going to be facing Isaiah Cassidy, but it does mean that Keith Lee is likely to be on the show. So let me know your thoughts about Keith Lee's upcoming AEW debut in the comment section below. Be sure to like and subscribe. We'll be going live after Dynamite as well tonight, so there's plenty to talk about, and it might just be the beginning. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.